Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today, I will explain about contract documentation of PWD 203A Revision 1 2010. Firstly, PWD 203A Revision 1 2010 is standard form of contract to be used, where bills of quantity form part of the contract. There are 81 clauses under PWD form. PWD is standard form of contract for government and public sector project. PWD also cover all the buildings and engineering works. Superintending officer SO is in charge for the project. They will monitor and maintain the quality of the project. Contract in this PWD means this contract and appendix attached hereto. The documents that forming the tender and acceptance includes form of tender, letter of acceptance of tender, contract drawing, bill of quantity, specification, and treasury instruction. All these documents shall be complementary to one and another. Contractor here means the person, sole proprietor, partnership, firm or company whose tender for the works has been accepted, who has or have signed the contract. It also includes the contractor personal representative, heirs and others. Contract periods means the time frame stipulated under clause 2. While contract sum can be found under clause for completion means the date fixed and stated in appendix or any other dates as provided in clause 39. Defects liability periods means the period stated in appendix under clause 39.3. Next, interpretation in clause 1.2 stated that the terms approval, and directed or direction, wherever used in this contract, shall be in writing form. Under clause 6.0 scope of contract, the contractor shall open and subject to this contract, construct and also complete the works. The contractor shall also undertake any consequential work in relation to the construction and completion of work on the site and also make good any defect, imperfection, shrinkage, or any other fault. This can be found under clause 6.1 until clause 6.3. Based on custody of the contract document, the contract shall be prepared in 2 original copies. It shall remain in the custody of the SO, superintending officer, and the contractor. The content in the contract document must be mutually explained to each other. Contractor shall notify the client if any discrepancy or divergence found in the contract document.
Definition in PAM 2018 Article 7. In the contract documents, as hereafter defined, the following words and expression shall have the meanings hereby assigned them except where the context otherwise requires. First, appendix means the appendix to the condition of the contract. Appropriate authority means any statutory jurisdiction over the works. And then, third, architect means the person named in the Article 3 and shall be professional architect or any other form of practice registered under Architect Act 1976 and approved by the Board of Architects Malaysia. Architect instruction as described in clause 2.2. And then as-built drawings means drawing for work design including alternative design by the contractor or nominated subcontractor, and any other as-built drawings required to be provided as specified in the contract document. Next, certificate of extension time means the certificate issued under clause 23.4. And then certificate making of good defects means certificate issued under clause 15.6. Certificate of non-completion means the certificate issued under clause 22.1. Certificate partial completion means the certificate issued under clause 16.1. Certificate of practical completion means the certificate issued under 15.2. Certificate of sectional completion means the certificate issued under 21.3. And then clauses means the clauses in the conditions of the contract. Completion dates means the date for completion of the works stated in appendix under clause 21.1 and 21.3 or the last extended date granted under clause 23.4. And lastly, condition means condition of the contract. So next, we move into the confirmation of architect's instruction as described in Consultant 2.2. Consultant means the engineer, quantity surveyor, and specialist consultant. Then contract document comprise the following documents, such as the letter of award, the article of agreement, the condition of the contract, the contract drawing, the contract bills, and other documents incorporated in the contract document, unless expressly stated to be excluded therefrom. Contract bills comprises the following documents, such as instruction to tenderer, conditions of tendering, form of tender, preliminaries, preambles and specification, bills of quantity, and any other documents specifically mentioned in any of the above documents.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi and good morning. So today, I'm very sure that everyone already know about these two types of contract, which is PWD, Public Work Department, and PAM, Pertubuhan Arkitek Malaysia types of contract that commonly used in Malaysia. Between these two types of contract has a lot of differences, so I'm going to share with you guys the differences between PWD and PAM type of contract. So first, PWD standard form of contract is commonly used for government and public sector project. For example, public school and government hospital. While for PAM, standard form of contract is commonly used for a private sector project. For example, shopping mall and hotel. Next, for PWD types of contract is covered for all the building and engineering works, including dam, road and bridge. Next, for PAM is only cover the building works. Thirdly, the contractor is the person that is responsible to buy the insurance in PWD types of contract, while in PAM, mentioned in clause 28, 20B and 20C, give built-in giving choices where either the client or the contractor can buy the insurance for the project. Next, Superintending officer is in charge for the project. They will monitor and maintain the quality of the project. In PWD types of contract, while in PAM types of contract, the architect is in charge as the SO, Superintending officer, for the project to maintain the quality of the project. And lastly, for PWD types of contract, architect can be appointed as the Superintending officer representative, while in PAM, architect is the only one as the main superintending officer for the project to maintain the quality of the project. And lastly, for PWD types of contract, architect can be appointed as the superintending officer representative, while in PAM, architect is the only one as the main superintending officer for the project. Thank you.
Next, I will be explain about Superintending Officer SO under PWD Form 203A, Revision 1 2010. First definition. The term Superintending Officer refers to the individual, company, or organization designated by the employer as charged for the purposes of this contract. In this contract, SO means the Superintending Officer who shall be and or his successors in office. Next, duties of SO. The SO should be responsible for the overall supervision and direction of the works. All matters regarding the work should be dealt by the contractor with the SO. Clause 3.0 is explain about the SO and SO representative, while 3.1 duties of SO and SO representative. Management and direction of the works will be the responsibilities of the superintending officer. The construction should deal with all matters concerning the works in conjunction with the superintending officer. Basically, the SO has two responsibilities under the contract and at common law. First, as an agent for the employer, and second, as a certifier. The superintending officer responsibility as a certifier includes certifying payments, evaluating the contractor's application for an extension of time, EOT, certifying variation orders, VO, and determining claims for loss and expense. Even though the superintending officer is normally appointed and paid by the employer, there is an implicit term in construction contracts that the superintending officer will behave equally and independently when working as a certifier. So, in relation to that role, the superintending officer must first comply with the instruction of the employer, irrespective of whether those instructions are reasonable, fair, or contrary to the interests of the contractor. And second, the superintending officer owes a duty of care to the employer in the performance of those functions. If the superintending officer fails to perform those functions in accordance with 1 and 2 above, the SO will be liable to the employer for breach of contract and or in negligence. Architects mean the person named in Article 3 and should be a professional architect or any other form of practice registered under the Architects Act 1967 and approved by the Boards of Architects Malaysia. Architects mean the person named in Article 3 and should be a professional architect or any other form of practice registered under the Architects Act 1967 and approved by the Boards of Architects Malaysia. Article 3. The term the architect in the contract shall mean of or in the event of such person ceasing to be the architect for the purpose of the contract. Such other person as the employer shall appoint within 28 days therefrom.
Next, I'll be talking about Superintending Officer Representative, SOR, or in Malay we call it as Pegawai Penguasa. SOR is the person appointed from time to time by the Superintending Officer, SO. The Superintending Officer's representative, SOR, shall be responsible to the Superintending Officer, SO, and shall carry out such duties and exercises such authorities as may be delegated to him by the Superintending Officer, SO. SOR's scope of work is related to the technical on-site. For example, the problem regarding level, decision, and misinformation, it will be referring to SOR. But if the SOR cannot make decision, it will be referring to SO, Superintending Officer. Next, I'll be talking about Superintending Officer Representative, SOR, in PWD Form 203A, Revision 1 2010 type of contract. In the JKR 203A standard form of contract, mentioned in clause 3.1, duties of the superintending officer, SO, and SO representative, stated that the SO is responsible for the overall supervision and direction of the work on site. The duties and responsible are complemented with a certain extent of power and authorities. What it means is that under the JKR 203A contract, the SO is allotted with a wide power and authorities to ensure that the project is completed according to the date. For example, Jabatan Agama Islam Selangor is a client of the project, and Jabatan Agama Islam Selangor will appointed their person by their side to lead the project and to know about the feedback on the project. Next, as you can see on slide, is the communication relationship in PWD 203A between superintending officer and other parties, which is employer, government, consultant, and contractor, will referring to superintending officer, who is the main powerful person on site. But normally, superintending officer (SO) is covered for all the ongoing project on the district. So that's why superintending officer will appoint someone to be superintending officer representative, to be on site for all the time and to know the update and the problem on site. Next, I'll be sharing about superintending officer representative (SOR) in PAM, Pertubuhan Arkitek Malaysia types of contract. Under the terms and conditions of the PAM Standard Form 2006 of building contract, the architect as superintending officers carries out his professional duties, both as the employer's agent and contract administrator. This is because client will only point architect to be the representative for the client as the team leader for the project. If there are any problem regarding on-site, it will be referring to the architect first. The function is the same as PWD types of contract, which is superintending officer, but follow the different types of contract. In PAM 2006, the term diligence and expedition is mentioned under clause 11.2, which provided no variation ordered by the architect or subsequently sanctioned by him shall vitiate the contract. Pending the variation of variations, the contractor shall carry out the diligence and expedition. All variations is so instructed.
SO instruction in PWD 203A REV 2010. The SO may from time to time issue further drawing, details and written instruction in regard to the variation as referred to in clause 24. Hereof, any discrepancy in or between the contract documents as referred to in clause 8.2b, the removal from site of any materials or goods brought thereon by the contractor, and the substitutions of any other materials good. Therefore, the removal of re-execution of any works executed by the contractor. The dismissal from works of any person mentioned in clause 23.6 hereof employed thereupon, the opening up for inspection of any work covered up. So, the amending and making good of any defects whatsoever under clause 48. Any matter in respect of which the SO is expressly empowered by this contract to issue instructions. Appendix number 5.2 in PWD. SO instruction continued. All instruction by the SO must be in writing. The contractor must obey with all the instruction given by the SO. And then third, if SO given instruction orally, then SO need to issue a written instruction within 7 days. If within 7 days after receipt of the written completed from SO and the contractor does not comply, SO can take any other rights or remedies available to the government under this contract. First, pay another contract or other person to execute any work whatsoever. And number two, the contractor will take responsibility for all the expenses including on-cost charges. Number three, the government shall be entitled to deduction such as cost and etc. under this contract or recover from performance bond as a debt from contractor.
Instruction AI PAM 2006 Clause 2.1. Contractor to comply with architect instruction AI. The contractor shall subject to clause 2.2 and 2.3, which comply with all instructions issued to him by the architect in regard to any matter in respect of which the architect is expressly empowered by these conditions to issue instructions. Next, clause 2.2. All instructions issued by the architect shall be in writing, expressly entitled Architect Instruction AI. This means all issue from the contractor must be in writing. All issued by the architect must be in writing, expressly entitled. That means Architect Instruction AI must be the title on the issue. All other form of written instruction, including drawings issued by the architect, shall be an AI. Upon written confirmation from the contractor, entitled Confirmation of the Architect's Instructions AI. When the architect confirm the form, then the form will be named of Confirmation of Architect Instructions AI. Or upon subsequent confirmation of the written instruction by the architect is an AI. Next, clause 2.3. Provision empowering instructions upon receipt of written instruction from the architect. The contractor may request the architect to specify in writing which provision of this condition empowers the issuance of the said instruction, and the architect shall forthwith comply with such request. If the contractor comply with the said instruction without invoking any dispute resolution procedure under the contract to establish the architect's power in that regard, the instruction shall be deemed to have been duly given under the specified provision. 2.4. Failure of contractor to comply with an NI. If the contractor fail to follow the architect instruction, then the term of compliance, which shall be not less than 7 days from receipt of the architect instruction, is stated by the architect in the AI, and the contractor does not comply with, the employer may, without prejudice to any other right and remedies which he may possess under the contract, employ and pay other person to execute any work which may be necessary to give effect to such instruction. The cost of employing other person and any additional cost in this connection shall be set off by the employer, which under clause 30.4. That's all from us. Happy fasting and stay safe. Thank you.